I am speaking to you now, not to the crowd, not to the masses, but to you, the one reading these words in the quiet. To you, whose heart feels like a private battlefield. I am calling your attention away from the noise, away from the echo of your own doubts, and into this stillness. This is not a general broadcast. This is a direct line. This is a deliberate, intentional turning of my face toward yours in this exact moment. You did not stumble here by chance. You were guided. Your weariness, that specific ache in your spirit that made you search for a word, for a sign, that was me drawing you. This is your appointed moment of address. Hear me. I am the one who was and is to come. The Alpha, the Omega, the beginner and the finisher. My authority is the framework of the universe, and my voice is the sound that set the stars in their courses. Yet I am bending that universe-commanding whisper into your spirit tonight. I am the architect of time itself, and I have ordained this intersection of your longing and my proclamation. This is no accident. You are here because I have something to say to you that cannot wait, a word that must be delivered now, at the precise point of your deepest questioning. I saw you today. I saw you yesterday. I have seen every single one of your hidden days. I saw you force a smile when your soul was crumbling. I saw you perform the routine, complete the task, move through the motions while a silent scream built in your chest. I witnessed the weight of the delay, that heavy, confusing season that stretched on far longer than you ever imagined. You prayed for a breakthrough by a certain date, a certain year. You held on, believing the turn was just around the corner. But the corner kept extending, the road kept lengthening, until you began to doubt the map itself. You began to doubt if you had even heard my directions correctly. The loneliness of that confusion was its own unique sorrow. It felt like being lost in a crowd, surrounded by people celebrating their harvests, while you were still staring at barren ground, wondering if your seed was ever any good. You felt forgotten. You watched others advance, celebrated their victories with a genuine but aching heart, and then went home to the quiet of your own space and wondered, what about me? You felt misunderstood, labeled as too slow, too hesitant, too dreamy, too much. You learned to stop speaking about the promise inside you, because the blank stares or the well-meaning but empty platitudes cut too deep. You bottled it up. You buried the dream a little deeper, thinking it was safer there, hidden from the scrutiny of a world that seemed to move at a pace you could not match. That loneliness was not your failure. It was not a sign of my absence. It was the deep soil. It was the necessary quiet. I was there in every silent meal, in every sleepless night spent staring at the ceiling, in every weary sigh you thought no one heard. I was collecting every tear you cried in silence. Not one fell to the ground unnoticed. I bottled them. Each one is sacred to me, each one a liquid prayer. That season of solitary confusion was not a wilderness of abandonment. It was a greenhouse of the spirit. While you felt you were decaying, I was cultivating. While you felt invisible, I was doing my most focused work. You were not buried. You were planted. The pain had a purpose. The delay had a design. Every closed door that made you feel rejected was, in truth, a divine protection. I was not saying no to you. I was saying not yet to the enemies of your destiny. I was saying stay away to the people and paths that would have prematurely plucked you, that would have celebrated a bud as if it were the full bloom, and in doing so, would have ruined the magnificent flower you are destined to become. The waiting was not a punishment, it was a positioning. You were being placed with meticulous care onto the exact square of the board where your move will be undeniable, where your rise will be unassailable. You are in the shadows because the light I have for you is so brilliant, It required a specific alignment, a specific timing to be revealed. This was all protection. This was all preparation. You were hidden because you are precious. You were held back because you are destined for a leap that defies all human logic. Your time of being unseen is over. Now I speak. Now I reveal. Now you begin to understand. Now let us speak of the knives in the dark, the ones you felt but never saw clearly, the friendly smiles that did not reach the eyes, the encouraging words that later you realized were laced with a subtle poison of doubt. I saw them. I saw every single one. I saw the secret meetings you were not invited to, where your name was spoken with dismissive tones. I heard the whispered critiques, the judgments passed on your character, your methods, your pace, your very heart. They labeled you as lacking. They called you unqualified. They decided among themselves that you did not have what it takes. They wrote you off in their private conversations, believing their assessment was the final verdict on your life. I saw the betrayal that took the air from your lungs. The person you trusted with the tender, unformed clay of your dream, who then used that trust to drop it, to let it shatter on the ground, and then walked away without a backward glance. I saw the colleague who took credit for your labor. I saw the family member who, instead of support, offered only skepticism wrapped in concern. I saw the so-called friend who stayed close only to report your struggles to others, who fed on the drama of your delays. These were not just disappointments. They were strategic oppositions. These were secret enemies, sometimes unknowingly acting as agents to slow you down, to wound you enough that you would abandon the path. And you, in your wisdom, a wisdom you did not even know you possessed, you chose silence. When every cell in your body wanted to scream, to defend, to lash out and set the record straight, you often bit your tongue. You turned the other cheek. You walked away. You internalized the pain because you had no forum for your defense. You felt weak for this silence. You replayed the scenarios at 3 a.m., crafting perfect speeches of vindication that you never delivered. You thought your quietness was a form of surrender, a confession of guilt. You believed that by not fighting, you were losing. But hear me, that silence was not weakness. It was supreme strength. It was the evidence of my spirit within you, holding you back from a battle that was not yours to fight. That restraint was a sacred trust. While they were plotting, you were praying. While they were gossiping, you were growing. While they were trying to dig a pit for you, I was using the very dirt they threw to build a foundation under your feet. Your refusal to engage in their warfare was a declaration that your trust was in a higher court. You were submitting your case to a divine judiciary. You were, in the most powerful way possible, saying, I will let God fight for me. I never left you, even when you felt alone in that courtroom of public opinion. I was your unseen counsel. I was gathering every piece of false evidence they raised against you. I was recording every lie, every twisted word, every malicious intent. And I was filing it away, not for your shame, but for your vindication. The day is coming when the truth will not just be whispered, it will be broadcast. The narrative they crafted in the shadows will be dismantled in the light. The very tongues that spoke against you will stumble over their own words, and some will even become the loudest voices in your celebration. They thought your silence meant you were defeated. They mistook your grace for frailty. They interpreted your perseverance as desperation. They believed the hidden season was proof you were forgotten by me and by the world. Oh, how wrong they were. Your hiddenness was not a sentence, it was a shield. Their opposition did not stop you. It strategically shaped you. The pressure they applied was forming in you a diamond-like resilience, a clarity of purpose that only comes from being tested under fire. You were protected in that silence. Your destiny was too fragile, too important, to be left in the echo chamber of their opinions. I hid you in the hollow of my hand, where their whispers could not reach, where their schemes could not penetrate. Every time you chose to kneel instead of retaliate, you were activating a divine defense system no enemy can breach. That pain, that betrayal, it was the furnace that burned away the need for human approval. It purified your motive. Now you seek only my face, only my approval. And that, beloved, is the most unshakable position a human soul can hold. They watched you, waiting for you to break, to give up, to become bitter, to fade into oblivion. They are still watching. Let them. Their gaze is about to witness something that will leave them in awe. The one they counted out is being counted in by heaven itself. The one they wrote off is the one I have written down in permanent ink. Your quiet season is about to break into a deafening roar of fulfillment. The tears you cried in secret are about to water a public harvest that will leave no doubt in anyone's mind. You were never alone. You were being guarded for this. Let me explain the architecture of your delay. Let me pull back the curtain on every closed door, every no, every path that seemed to open with promise only to end abruptly at a sheer wall. You thought they were rejections. You internalized them as signs of your unworthiness, as proof that you had misunderstood your own destiny. You stood before those locked doors and felt the sting of humiliation, believing the world was denying you a place meant for others. But you must see now, those doors were not locked to keep you out. They were locked to keep something else in. Or rather, to keep you from entering a room too small for your destiny. I closed them with my own hand, not in anger, but in fierce, protective love. Behind those attractive doors were spaces that would have confined you, agreements that would have compromised you, partnerships that would have diluted your purpose. They were good doors, perhaps, but not your doors. They were safe rooms, but I did not call you to safety. I called you to significance. Had you entered, you would have spent years bending and contorting to fit a mold I never designed for you. The frustration you felt at those closures was the divine tension between your spirit, which knew it was made for more, and a circumstance that offered less. That aching disappointment was a compass, pointing you away from the good and toward the God designed. And the people who left, the relationships that faded, the friendships that dissolved without drama, the connections that simply vaporized as you walked deeper into your purpose. You mourned them. You wondered what you did wrong. You questioned if your pursuit of what I placed in you made you unlovable, difficult, or strange. Their absence created an echoing loneliness that made the hidden season feel even more desolate. But I was pruning, not because the branches were bad, but because they were no longer conducive to the fruit I am about to produce on you. Some people are assigned only for a season. Their presence was a gift for a time, but their continued presence would have become a weight, a tether to an identity I was moving you beyond. I lovingly removed them, not to hurt you, but to release you, to give you the emotional and mental space to become who you are, without the constant need to explain yourself to those who remembered only the you of the past. This isolation was your training ground. In the quiet, with just me, you learned to hear my voice above all others. You learned to distinguish between the hunger of your soul and the noise of the world's expectations. Without a committee, without a fan club, you had to find your validation in my smile alone. That strength, the strength to stand alone, unshaken by opinions, is the very strength that will now allow you to lead many. It was forged in the lonely hours. The resilience in your spirit, the patience in your heart, the unwavering though often weary faith, these were not born in the spotlight of celebration. They were carved in the shadowy quarry of waiting. I was making you unbreakable, because the platform I have for you requires a weightiness that popularity cannot produce. You were hidden because your enemies were still in power. Think of a young king, hidden away while a usurper sits on the throne. To reveal him too soon is to sign his death warrant. Your enemies, fear, insecurity, past failures, the words of others, even systemic opposition, they held power in the realm of your life. I was not letting them win. I was letting them expose themselves, overplay their hand, and believe they had secured the territory. All the while, I was training you, equipping you, and maturing you in secret. I was letting their pride build a stage from which their fall will be most dramatic, and your rise most undeniable. I hid you until your spiritual, emotional, and strategic maturity had reached a point where their weapons could no longer find a target. You have outgrown their ability to harm you. The arrows they use to wound you now glance off the armor of wisdom and identity I have fitted on you in the dark. This was not punishment. This was positioning. You were being placed on the exact timeline, in the exact spiritual posture, with the exact inner fortitude required for this moment. The waiting was the work. The tears were the irrigation. The silence was the cocoon. You felt stagnant, but you were in a divine current, being carried to this precise point. You are now at the coordinates I always intended. The enemies that could have taken you out a year ago, 5 years ago, are now powerless. Their season of influence is over. Your season of manifestation has begun. The hiding is complete. The preparation is finished. You are no longer the vulnerable seed beneath the soil. You are the stalk, strong and tall, ready to burst into the light and display the bloom that was always in your design. The very things meant to stop you have only served to stockpile the testimony I am about to unleash. Get ready. The hidden one is about to be seen. Now, feel it. The tremor beneath your feet is not an earthquake of chaos, but the shudder of foundations shifting in your favor. The atmospheric pressure changing around you is not a coming storm, but the arrival of a new climate of blessing. I am announcing the shift. The long winter of waiting is breaking at this very moment. The gears of heaven have engaged with the timing of your life, and what I set in motion long ago is now accelerating toward its fulfillment. This is not a gradual change. This is a divine reversal. This is the sudden turn you stopped daring to hope for. Where you were overlooked, you will now be undeniable. Where your name was spoken with disregard, it will be spoken with reverence. Doors you never knocked on will swing open on hinges greased by my favor. Opportunities that bypassed you for years will now seek you out, finding your address with an almost supernatural precision. People who did not have time for you, who could not see your worth, will suddenly appear, eager to connect, to assist, to be part of what I am doing in your life. Do not be alarmed by the suddenness. This is the nature of a divine reversal. I compressed centuries of preparation into your season of hiddenness so that the manifestation could happen in a moment that changes everything. Watch as I publicly rearrange the narrative. The very situations that were sources of your deepest shame, your most profound confusion, I am now elevating as your most powerful platforms. The story they told about you, the story of lack, of delay, of being less than, is about to be rewritten before their eyes, and I will write it. I will use the mouths of even unlikely witnesses to testify to your grace, your resilience, your integrity. The false evidence will crumble. The whispers will be drowned out by a chorus of affirmation. You will not need to craft a defense. I will be your defense. You will not need to force your way to the table. I will seat you at the head, and those who questioned your place will be served by the abundance on your plate. This is your vindication, not a private whisper of consolation, but a public display of restoration. It will happen in the boardrooms, in the family gatherings, in the social circles, in the quiet of your own community. They will look at you and no longer see the struggle. They will see the glory. They will no longer see the one who was hidden, but the one who is now radiant. And in their hearts, they will know that what has happened to you is not the result of human striving, but of divine intervention. It will be too sudden, too perfect, too holistic to be anything else. They said you would never rise. They said the setback was final. They said your best days were behind you, that you had missed your window. They will watch, stunned, as every word they spoke is overturned by the evidence of my favor upon you. Your sudden elevation will be a sign and a wonder. It will confuse the wisdom of the wise. It will defy the logic of systems. Promotions will come that skip normal protocols. Resources will find you from sources you'd forgotten. Favor will meet you like a wave. And just as you find your footing, another will come. This is the overflow of the long containment. This is the pressure of the promise, finally released. You will look at your life and wonder at the speed, the synchronicity. Now comes the restoration. Not a piecemeal mending, but a total reclamation of everything that was lost, stolen, or seemingly withered in the long winter. I am not giving you back the old things, the fragile things that could not survive the journey. I am restoring to you the essence of those things, the peace, the joy, the security, the creative flow, but in a new, resilient, and abundant form. The shattered vase will not be glued back together. Instead, you will find yourself in a house filled with vases of finest porcelain, and the memory of the break will only deepen your gratitude for the bounty that now surrounds you. First, I restore your peace. The anxious churning in your spirit, the constant vigilance for the next disappointment, the sleepless rehearsals of past conversations. I am silencing that noise. I am replacing it with a deep, settling calm, a knowing that you are anchored in me. The peace I give is not the absence of storms, but the unshakable certainty that you are in the eye of the storm, in the center of my will, where all is quiet and all is safe. You will sleep deeply again. You will wake with a lightness you thought you had lost forever. The turmoil of the hidden years is being exchanged for a settled confidence that feels like coming home to your own soul. Next, I restore your identity, not as the world defines you, not as your struggles labeled you, but as I have always known you. The names you were called, too sensitive, too slow, too much, not enough. Those labels are being scorched off in the fire of my truth. You will see yourself reflected in my eyes, and you will finally recognize the royalty I placed within you. A new authority will rise in your voice, not one of arrogance, but of quiet, unassailable knowing. You will speak, and your words will carry weight, because they are born from the depths you have traversed. You will make decisions not from a place of fear or lack, but from a place of divine alignment and overflowing resource. You are not an imposter surviving. You are an heir arrived. The abundance will not be for you alone. This is a critical part of the restoration. It will overflow. The blessing will spill from your life onto the lives of others in a way that heals their own narratives of scarcity. The very people who stood with you in the dark, the few faithful ones, will be swept into the current of this provision. Even those who wronged you will witness this overflow, and for some, it will become a mirror, showing them their own lack and leading them to their own redemption. Your table will be so full, there will be ample provision to invite to it even those who once scorned you. This is how I conquer through love. This is how I vindicate you, not by making others poor, but by making you so lavishly rich in spirit, soul, and tangible blessing that the past injustices lose all power to define the present. Watch as I reconnect relationships, not the toxic ones, but the divine ones. The allies who are for your destiny, not just your comfort, will find their way to you. Divine collaborations will form effortlessly. The family of purpose I am building around you will feel like a homecoming of spirits who have been waiting for you just as you have been waiting for them. You will no longer have to labor to be understood. You will be surrounded by those who understand the language of your heart without translation. This restoration is also of time. You mourned the lost years, the wasted season. I am now redeeming the time. I am accelerating processes. What should take a decade will unfold in a year. What should take years will be accomplished in months. You will see a divine efficiency that is the hallmark of my favor, making up for the years the locusts have eaten. You will not end your race behind. You will be propelled ahead, ahead of schedule, ahead of expectation, ahead of every prediction made about you. You were protected, not rejected. Every no was a not that. Every ending was a divine redirection. Every tear watered the seeds of this very harvest. The person looking back at you in the mirror is not a victim of the past, but a victor shaped by it. The hesitation is leaving. The second guessing is melting away. A holy confidence is taking its place, not in your own ability, but in the certainty of my goodness and the perfection of my timing. You are stepping into a new day, wearing a new name, fulfilled, vindicated, restored, beloved. The hidden one is now the crowned one, not with a crown of human making, but with the garland of my own joy, placed upon your head for all to see. This is your final confirmation, the last piece of the puzzle, clicking into place with a sound that echoes in your spirit. The journey of this word, from the first whisper to this concluding truth, is now complete within you. You have heard me, not as a distant echo, but as a voice speaking directly into the deepest chamber of your heart. This is the anchor. This is the stone of remembrance you will carry from this day forward. When the old doubts whisper, you will touch this stone and remember. God spoke to me. He called me by name. He accounted for every tear, every closed door, every hidden enemy. He said my waiting had a purpose. He said my time is now. I am calling you to a final, profound, and peaceful trust. Not the desperate clinging of the storm-tossed sailor, but the settled assurance of one who stands on the solid deck of a ship that has weathered the worst and is now steaming into calm, golden waters. The work of hiding is done. The work of preparation is complete. The season of striving is over. Now is the season of receiving. Your only task is to believe, to receive, to walk forward with the quiet confidence of a child who knows their parent's hand is holding theirs. Do not strive to manufacture this shift. Do not force the doors I am opening. Simply walk through them. The momentum is now mine. The responsibility for the outcome rests on my shoulders, not yours. Your shoulders were made to bear glory, not the weight of making it happen. I will be with you in the new visibility. You will not be alone on the platform, any more than you are alone in the hidden room. My presence will go before you to arrange favor, and it will surround you as a shield from any new form of attack. The same grace that sustained you in silence will empower you in speech. The same faithfulness that fed you with manna in the wilderness will set a banquet before you in the presence of those who watched you wander. You are not stepping from darkness into a harsh, interrogating light. You are stepping from the protective shadow of my wing into the glorious, warming light of my favor. It is all me. The same God in the hidden place is the God of the open space. Amen.